Good morning Year 7 and welcome to today's maths lesson. Here's our starter for today. Can you find 25% of 300 for me? Can you increase 300 by 25%? Can you then decrease 300 by 25%? And finally, a TV has been reduced in a sale. It was reduced by 25% to £225. What was the original price? Pause the video and have a go at these questions in your light blue books now, please. Right, let's go through the answers. So percent means out of 100, so we know that 25% means 25 out of 100. If I divide top and bottom by 4, that gives me 1 out of 4. So I'm looking to find a quarter of 300. To do that, George, what do I need to do? I need to divide 300 by 4, very wise, which will give me 75. So 25% of 300 is 75. So if I want to increase 300 by 25%, I need to do 300 plus 75, which will give me 375. To decrease it by 25%, I need to subtract the 25%. So 300 subtract 75 leaves me with 225. Now my final question said, a TV has been reduced in a sale. It was reduced by 25% to £225. What was the original price? Well, looking at our answer to the previous question, we found that if we reduced 300 by 25%, that gave us £225. So the original price of the television must have been £300. Well done if you got that right. Okay, Year 7, here's our lesson destination for today. The cost of a ticket increases by 10% to £19.25. Work out the original cost. This is a topic called reverse percentages. First of all, my original number is 100%. I have all of my original number. My turn. What percentage do I have after a 20% increase? So my original number was 100%. I'm now adding on 20%. So Barbara, what percentage of my number do I have altogether now? Great, I have 120% now. I have my original 100% plus the extra 20% I've added on. Over to you, Year 7. In your light blue books, what percentage do I have after a 40% increase? Pause the video, write down your answer. Right, so this time I've added on 40%, slightly bigger part of my bar. So in total, I now have 140% of my original number. Mini whiteboards, Year 7. What percentage do I have after a 10% increase? Write down your answer now. And the correct answer is 110%. I've got 100%, I've added on 10%, I've got 110%. Mini whiteboards, Year 7. What percentage do I have after a 25% increase? Pause the video, write down your answer in your light blue books. Okay, this time I've got 100%, I've added on 25%, so altogether I've got 125%. So how about now? What percentage do I have after a 50% increase? Write down your answer in your light blue book or on your mini whiteboard if you have one. So this time we started with 100%, I added on 50%, so in total I have 150%. And one more for me. What percentage do I have after a 100% increase? Pause the video, have a little think, write down your answer on your mini whiteboard or in your light blue books for me. So after a 100% increase, I have my original number, 100%. I've added on another 100%. So altogether, I'm going to have 200%. Well done if you got that right. Okay, back to my original example. If 120% of a number after my 20% increase is 240, what is 10% of my original number? I've drawn it as a bar. Here's my 100%, here's my 20%, so I've now got 120%, which is 240. And I've been asked to work out what 10% must be. Well, I need to divide 120% by 12 to work out what 10% would be. So I'm going to do the same to the other side. So 10% of my number is 20. If 120% is 240, 10% must be 20. Over to you, Year 7, in your light blue books. If 140% of a number is 560, what is 10% of the original number? Here's the bar model so you can see it. Pause the video and work out your answer now, please. Right, let's go through it. So I've now got 100% plus my 40%. So I know that 140% is equal to 560. So if I want to work out what 10% would be, I need to divide it by 14. Divide by 14. And Dijon, can you tell me, what's 560 divided by 14? 40. Lovely. So 10% of my number this time is 40. Over to you, Year 7. In your light blue books, please pause the video for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and have a go at these. If 110% of a number x is 660, what's 10% of x? Pause the video and complete that in your light blue books now, please. And these are the answers I was looking for. Please check your work and see how you did. For the last two, I said if 125% of a number is 360, what's 25%? To work that out, I needed to divide by 5. And for the last question, I said if 101% of x is 303, what's 1%? I needed to divide it by 101. Well done if you got that right. Right, next step. We've worked out what 10% of a number is. What's 100% of my number? So I know that 10% of my number this time is 20. That's what we just worked out. What's 100% going to be? Now to do this, I need to multiply it by 10 to get 100%. 20 times 10 gives me 200. On my bar model, we can show that as this 100% is worth 200. So I know that 10% is 20. So by multiplying by 10, I can work out what 100% or the whole of my original number, which is 200. Over to you, Year 7, in your light blue books. Here's an example for you. Pause the video and answer that question now, please. Right, this time I've said that 10% of a number is 40. So if I want to work out what 100% of that number is, I just need to multiply it by 10, which gives me 400. On my bar model, here's my little bar representing 10%. I know that 100%, or this whole bit here, is worth 400. Back to your light blue books for me, please, Year 7. Next to where you did the original questions, where we worked out what 10% of a number is, can you now have a go at this section here? If 10% of x is 60, which was the answer to the first bit, what's 100% of x? Pause the video for about 5 to 10 minutes and work these out now, please. The questions on the right-hand side. And these are the answers. Please check your work and see how you did. For the last two questions, for 4, I knew that 25% of a number was 72. So to work out what 100% of it was, I needed to multiply by 4. And for the last question, I knew that 1% was 3. So to work out 100%, I needed to multiply it by 100, which gave me 300. Okay, we're now going to put all these steps together. So in your dark blue books for me, Year 7, can you write the title Reverse Percentages? And when you've got that down, can I see pens down, eyes on me? I'm going to go through an example and then you're going to do an example. So pens down, eyes on me for the first example. I've been asked to calculate what the original amount of something would be. And we're going to call that X. So I've been asked to work out what 100% of X is. I've been told there's been a percentage change, an increase of 10%. And after this increase, my new value is £440. So if I've had a 10% increase, Evie, what percentage do I have altogether now after a 10% increase? I've drawn the bar to help you out. Great, so after my 10% increase, you're right, Evie, I now have 110%. So I know that 110% of X is 440. I've had a 10% increase, I'm left with 440, so 110% of X is 440. I'm now going to work out what 10% of X might be. How am I going to work that out, Drew? How can I work out 10% if I know what 110% is? Great, I need to divide it by 11. If I divide 440 by 11, what's that going to give me, Edie? 40, great. So I now know that 10% of my original amount is 40. I now want to know what 100% of my original amount is, i.e. what is X? What do I need to do with my 10% to work out 100% for me, Charlie? Great, I need to times it by 10. If I multiply 40 by 10, that gives me 400. So I know that my original number X is 400. And after I've increased X by 10%, that would give me 440. Over to you, Year 7. In your dark blue books, please pause the video for 5 to 10 minutes and have a go at this question for me, thinking about it step by step, just how I've done. Right, let's go through it. So in exactly the same way, I've been asked to find out what 100% of my original number X is. I've been told I've had a 10% increase and now I'm at this new value of 220. So what percentage of X do I have after this 10% increase? Please, Abby. 110%, great. I've had a 10% increase, I'm now at 110%. So I know that 110% of X is equal to 220. So Breeze, how can I work out what 10% would be? Great, divide it by 11. So this time 10% of my original number is 20. How can I work out what 100% would be for me, please? Darcy. 10, great, multiply it by 10. So my original number X must have been 200. Please make sure you've got this worked example in your dark blue books, Year 7. And then can you pause the video for 10 minutes and have a go at these questions for me, please, Year 7, in your light blue books. I've given you the example at the top to help you out, so number 1 I've been through. I want you to break it down, so work out what the percentage of X's you now have after the increase, work out what 10% would be, and work out what 100% of your original number would be. There's an extension question at the bottom if you're feeling confident. Pause the video and have a go at these questions in your light blue books now, please. And these are the answers. Please check your work and see how you did. And finally, Year 7, this was our lesson destination for today. I told you the cost of a ticket increases by 10% to £11.22. Work out the original cost. Can you pause the video now for 5 minutes or so and in your light blue books have a go at this exam question for me. And this is the answer I was looking for. After a 10% increase, we now have 110%. We can work out what 10% would be by dividing by 11 to give us £1.02. So to work out 100%, or what the original cost would be, we just multiply that by 10, which gives us £10.20. Finally, Year 7, if you're feeling confident, have a go at this extension question for me. Pause the video for 5 minutes, work that out now. And here's the answer I was looking for. Well done if you got that right. And that's the end of today's lesson. Thanks very much for listening, Year 7. Please head over to Google Classroom and submit today's exit ticket. Have a wonderful day and see you soon. Goodbye.